Okay, I got to talk to all the parents that are doing the right thing for the wrong reason because I'm going to help you get through something, get you through a mental block, or maybe I'm going to give you a new purpose, and hopefully through that I'll also inspire the parents that are doing the wrong thing for the wrong reasons or just are wrong, right? So this episode is called Parent or Partner. Who do you serve? What I mean by that is, are you doing things to serve your partner and be a good baby daddy or a husband or fiance or wife or whatever? Are you doing things to be a good parent, and are you serving your child? The reason why I bring this up is because I think I get a lot of DMs and I try to help people and blah, blah, blah. That's what inspires these episodes. I think I see a lot of people going through burnout, or I see people not doing the right thing at all because they don't realize who they should be serving, right? So a great example of, we'll do both sides. On this edge of the paper, right, we have people that are not being parents, right? So fathers that think their role is to provide, or maybe mothers that are not focused on being a parent. It's hard for me to find reasons mothers aren't a parent because historically mothers tend to be more of the parent. So as much as I try to be like gender neutral or like parent neutral, it becomes hard sometimes when I realize fathers are really the ones that I most of the time have to talk to. But when I'm talking to you and I'm saying, if you think your role as a parent is to be a provider, you may feel as if you're serving your partner. So you're doing it correctly, right? You're doing the wrong thing for the right reasons, kind of. And where I want to motivate you is that when you're a parent, the person that you need to actually be trying to serve is your child. And solely providing for them, making money, all that shit really means fucking nothing to your child. Just I'm going to be honest with you. Rachel said something to me a long time ago before I had Laguna, and she said, I didn't grow up with everything in the world, but my parent, who she was talking about, always loved me, and I'll never forget that. And it was a much deeper conversation, but it really stuck with me because I realized if that parent led with love, vibrated love, that's all that really ended up mattering to Rachel in the end. She forgot about which phone she had, whether she shopped at Justice 3 times a week or Walmart, like all of that stuff kind of became null and void. How nice her house was. It really all came back to like, was I loved? So I think what I see in other relationships is partners serving each other, and they think they're doing right by it, but they're not trying to serve their child. And so one good example is like, sometimes Rachel will say like, hey, so sorry I didn't get to the dishes today or the laundry or whatever. She may think like she was serving me by doing that because I was at work and her role was to take care of the household duties, and in our head, right? And I'm like, yo, is Laguna happy and safe? Like, that's all, like, serve your child, right? And so the reason why I think I'm such a successful father, and by successful father, I'm sure a lot of you all are in your own way, but what I mean is like the connection I have with my daughter is genuinely unmatched. And I'm out. I know things about my daughter that I would be comfortable saying most parents around me, most fathers around me, don't have that much insight or intuitiveness about their own child because they don't spend enough time with them. But I also don't look to serve Rachel, right? So I don't do everything to make sure Rachel's comfortable. I do everything to make sure my daughter's comfortable, and that pays off in its own light. So I'm not walking around thinking, God, it would make the most sense if I got a better job, I made more money so that Rachel could stay home more. She already is a stay-at-home mom, but like would never even have to stress about whether she could order something on Amazon because I'm making enough money. And she's got the childcare completely, and she's got the house duties completely. And my role as a partner is to serve her as a partner, right? And my child is a benefactor of that because Laguna has her mom with her 24/7, and her mom has complete freedom, lack of financial stress. Although that sounds fine and dandy, and I think a lot of men and fathers probably sit on that side of the coin and they think like, man, I'm doing the right thing. No pun intended about sitting on the right side of the coin, but man, I'm doing the right thing. You're really not. You're really not serving in the way that's going to benefit you and your family the greatest. And so often when people ask me about what's the greatest thing about fatherhood, or what's like the most surprising thing, or I just did an interview with Newsweek that was like, what is the best thing about being a girl dad? I'm like, the best thing about being a girl dad is realizing that I'm not put on this earth to take care of my daughter. My daughter's put on this earth to take care of me. Like, she healed a broken heart. She showed me unconditional love. She mended trauma that I had from my past because she loves me so unconditionally. She gives me this feeling, but that's all through serving her, right? So when I come home, I want to serve my daughter. And so I want to grab her, play with her. I want to do the diaper changes coming up next. And I know that Rachel is a benefactor of that. And that's making our relationship better. A lot of people say, like, how did you and Rachel keep it alive? Or like, blah, 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 through postpartum. Like, all of my initiative to be in Laguna's life has really been a benefactor for my relationship with Rachel, because so much stress can be taken off of her. And more often than not, actually, I find myself cracking. Like, if anything, the person I need to like refocus on is myself. And that's actually a good place to be in. Right. And so, and mothers find themselves in that place a lot. Like I don't want to generalize an entire population, but a lot of mothers find themselves like on Mother's Day or their birthday saying like, I don't want to make any decisions today. Like, I really want to be left alone. Like, maybe you could take the kids. Like they need to, I want a spa day. They need to focus back on themselves because they have for so long, unselfishly taking care of everyone else and serve their children, which likely the benefactor of that was their partner. So like, because they took care of the kids so much, the other partner was able to go to work, advance their career, blah, 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 blah. And they were a benefactor of that. And they felt like, oh, we have a great relationship. She's at home taking care of the kids. She's never financially stressed. I'm making all this money and that's really helping out. And I kind of want to tear down that narrative that you're really helping out. Really, you need to get in the weeds, and that's helping out. And they're a benefactor, but really you're the one that's going to feel all of this immense positive emotion because you're there for your child. Like, loving your child is literally like what I imagine people like Christians when they say they found God. Like, every time I hear a Christian describe like what it was like to be saved and baptized and stuff, I think like, wow, that's how I felt when I met Laguna. Like, not trying to call Laguna Jesus, but I think she might be. And the only reason I've developed this thought process is because Laguna has done the things that I hear Jesus does. Loved me unconditionally, forgiven me for my sins. All of that stuff has made me look at Laguna and be like, you're angelic. You're a prophet. Like, that's, I think, the highest of her, but that's because I'm constantly there to be involved and serve her. So on that side of the coin, it's like, serving your partner at all happens as a like kind of runoff of serving your child, right? So I need you to go in there and I need you to get involved, and that's the right answer. Now, on the other side of the coin, you have people that probably think like, me serving my partner is the best thing I can do for this family. And so by that, you might think probably the same thing, that you should go to work and provide and stuff. But maybe you might think, oh, my wife is responsible for all the household chores, so I'm going to cook dinner tonight and do the dishes. But like, you don't intervene with the child care still, right? You might come home and say like, I'm going to pick up the house a little bit and get her car washed, right? You're going to take care of those things. I'm going to get her oil changed. Like, you're serving your partner. Like, the main person that you're trying to directly affect with that little kiss of love, that act of service, that word of affirmation is your partner. And hopefully your child is a benefactor. You got the car clean. Now the back seat's clean for your daughter. You did the dishes. Now mom can focus more time on the daughter. You made dinner. Now mom can have a better bedtime routine and read a better book because she's not so stressed out with daughter. Great job. And I'm sure your partner really appreciates that. But I think you're missing that the benefactor, like your daughter, is not benefiting as much, or your son or whatever, is not benefiting as much from you serving your partner as your partner would benefit if you served your child. I want you to think about it in like more simple terms, right? If you got up and you knew your wife had to make breakfast, so you made her breakfast, and that freed up time so she could feed the dogs, likely the better thing you could have done was just feed the dogs, right? Taking that off of her plate, served your dogs directly, because now your dogs are happy and they're eating and everything's taken care of on that end. And now your wife gets to serve herself, right? Because it feels good to love yourself, to take care of yourself, to be with self. And if you don't have that oneness with self, you're going to feel yourself falling short in a lot of areas, even if someone did the dishes for you, someone's giving you an allowance, right? Your husband gives you a credit card you can use with no limit. All of that stuff is not going to fulfill you the way like self is going to fulfill you, right? So by me taking Laguna on a date in the morning and allowing Rachel to wake up slowly, no crying kid, make herself breakfast, yada, yada, yada. Now she can meditate, read a book. All of that is her serving self. And that's a direct correlation to what I did with baby, which was me serving myself because I was with the love of my life, right? And the benefactor is my baby. She's like, oh my God, all this time with dad. This is amazing. Like, I love hanging out with my dad, because your child only wants to be like, newsflash, your child wants to be in your life 100% of the time, unconditionally, wants to be the main focus. Like, your child is pure and perfect and innocent. They want your love, right? So you give that to them. They return this immense amount of energy that makes you feel fulfilled. Your partner has completely been with self this whole time, which has allowed your partner to feel refreshed, amazing, libido's up, right? You might come home, put the baby down, and where does that take you, right? As opposed to you saying like, hey, I made breakfast and I got paid today, so go get yourself something nice. I took out the trash for you, and now it's just you get to be with baby again. You're missing the point, and I know you have good intentions, but really find yourself trying to serve as a partner, trying to make your profession partner, or I'm sorry, trying to make your profession parent is what I mean, and not your profession partner, right? I don't want you to be the best partner in the world. I want you to be the best parent in the world. And don't get me wrong, this arises its own issues. Like, I've heard tons of times, like, the relationship wasn't alive. She or he was too focused on the kids. She or he was too focused on her career and like didn't give me enough. But I think in these newborn stages, and I think in these infant stages, and I think when you naturally have like when you're starting with a good relationship, you serving child the most, you being parent before partner, really like shows what that partner needs to see to really want to be with you, right? To like drive them to have high libido for you, to have, you know, intense emotions for you. And if you're so I've honestly thought in my head, like, I may become so parent one day that Rachel's like, do you still love me? Like, and Rachel has, you know, gone out of her way to be like, you and Laguna have such a good relationship. You know what I mean? And like questioned, like, you love me too, right? Like, sometimes me and Laguna will be hanging out laughing and Rachel will literally be like, I want to join. You know what I mean? And like, I'd rather be in those shoes than be in the shoes of, hey, did you notice all that I did for you? And like me not giving my attention to Laguna, right? Because Laguna's not going to speak up and be like, hey, daddy, like, do you love me? Like, not yet. And she might when she's 2, but I never want to put her in that position, right? And so I want you to rework your mindset a little bit about what it is and that's important to you, and understand that if your relationship with your partner is important to you, being a parent and being a good parent, being an involved parent, bearing the same load that your fellow partner does, regardless of what responsibilities you have, is really important, right? And so naturally you're going to face the question, okay, and I'll use me and Rachel as guinea pigs. It's fine. Like, we're strong, right? Rachel's a stay-at-home mom. I work 2 to 3 days a week at like a separate location, and then I would say I'm working 24/7 due to like social media. Like, right now I'm working in this moment. Laguna's asleep, thank God, because I waited till she napped. But if she wakes up in the middle of this, like, I got to continue working. Rachel has to assume mom duties, assume parent duties, right? So she's the stay-at-home mom role. I am the sole provider income role. If I try to bear the same amount that Rachel does when it comes to parenting Laguna, to being there for her parent-wise, it may beg the question of a lot of partners, then what's the other partner doing, right? So if you're working and trying to be 50% the caretaker, what is the other partner doing? And that's where like you and your partner need to figure out what equality looks like to you, what equity looks like to you. Those are 2 different things, mind you. And try to find that. So like, I know that Rachel does a bulk of the parenting anytime I have another obligation, right? So like, if my obligation is to do this podcast, Laguna's not at the podcast with me because Rachel picks up the load, right? I try to return that and say like, would you like to go get your nails done, your hair done? Would you like to sit alone in the dark? Do you want to read a book quietly by yourself? That's why I try to take Laguna on these morning dates, because Rachel sleeps in and I don't, right? Like, do you want to get some extra sleep? Those are like key moments that I'm like trying to return the favor, and I'm never really going to equal out the amount of time she has to silently do it, right? So also when I go work at an unknown location, right, like a different location, what I mean by that is like I work at a brick and mortar place. When I go do that, I don't get up in the middle of the night. Rachel does, because she's like, he's got work tomorrow, right? So I'm never going to really be able to pay back those moments. And so equality or equity, or any way you want to frame it, really, I would say equity is what we go for. Equity in this household is like me trying to be a parent all the time, 100% of the time, and knowing I'm going to fail. So me is my equity looks like I'm going to try to be the main partner in every little thing I can be. And then I know I'm going to fail. So if Laguna wakes up right now, I'm going to fail. I'm not going to be the parent that I keep saying partner, but I mean parent. I'm not going to be the parent that gets Laguna right now, and that's a fail, right? I want to be the parent 100% of the time. Like that's kind of my outlook. And I've talked about this before in videos and in podcasts. My outlook is like, I want to do it 100% of the time. Like if I could breastfeed, I would breastfeed, right? Laguna's not bottle fed and Rachel doesn't pump. So like that's an area that I'm never going to make up for the time that Rachel is doing that. But if I could, I would, right? I want to be that person 100% of the time, but I'm going to accept failure. So when I have to go out of town for work, like I was out of town Sunday, Monday in DC for a work event, I failed for 2 days straight. The trip was 49 hours exactly. I failed all 49 hours. I was not the parent that was there 100% of the time doing everything that Laguna needed to be done. But that's okay because I accept failure and I know that my role of being the provider is secondary to my role as being the parent, right? And I think that as long as your roof is still over your head and food is still on your table, like you don't have to put such an emphasis on being the partner that's serving your family through providing. You can go ahead and focus on being a parent and allow the abundance of, monetary gain or the abundance of what's keeping your roof over your head to come naturally because you're a good person. And you're a good person. And I know that because you're being a parent first. So both sides of the coin are really important, but I want you to look at them in a different aspect and know that if you think you being a provider is like your main role and you're doing the right thing, you're not. Like, let me just tell you to your face, eye to eye, look at me when I say this, you are not doing what's best for your family. And on the other hand, if you think, okay, I definitely don't make being a provider like the main focus, but like when I get home, I really want to serve my partner because she's probably been working hard with the baby all day. So like, let me make dinner tonight. You're also not, doing what's best for your family. And that's not to say that making dinner isn't good for your partner, but maybe you make dinner, right? Like, I don't want you to use that as like your ammunition to get out of being a parent. So a common practice in my house is like, if I'm taking over dinner, like let me make dinner, let me feed Laguna dinner and Rachel dinner, right? Like, let me feed the whole family dinner. Let me bathe Laguna because she's super dirty. Something I've been doing recently, it seems small, but it's really helpful. Rachel likes to lay down or decompress while I do the bath time. And we'd always call each other for a towel. Like it kind of was just like a habit. Obviously, we could put towels in the bathroom so that we'd never have to call each other. But it was like we would do a transition like, hey, grab me a towel. I would hand baby to Rachel. And then she would take baby into the nursery, get the diaper on, get her changed. Maybe I'd read a book and she'd put her down. I've kind of transitioned that because I realized I was serving probably selfishly myself. And maybe I was saying like, hey, you got it now. I'm done being a parent in this moment. Right. So now I've been draining the bath completely. So Laguna's not in any water at all, running to get the towel myself, drying her off, getting Laguna dressed because she's been really tough to get dressed recently. Then Rachel breastfeeds, which is something I can't do. So there's my first fail, but I make sure I put Laguna down. I've completely committed to sleep training Laguna because it's the only way that I feel equal with the fact that Rachel has to breastfeed at night. Like guaranteed Rachel can't say, hey, I'm going to go get my nails done. Hey, I'm going to go to the gym. Hey, I'm going to go drive and watch airplanes land and drink hot chocolate, right? She can't do any of that because she has to be home to breastfeed. So I'm like, let me tie myself down to something. I have to be home to put Laguna down. So 100% of the time I'm putting Laguna down. Now, when I was out of town for work, Rachel was like, oh my God, I don't even know how to put her down the way you do it. And I'm like, damn, that's a fail. I'm not home to be there for my family. I'm not home to be there as a parent. And so that mindset has allowed me to really perform highly as a father. And subsequently, I've performed so highly as a father that Rachel's really happy with her baby daddy, right? She's really pleased with her baby daddy that is working hard to be a good dad. And as a result, Rachel's a huge benefactor because so much of the load has been taken off of her that she feels like, damn, I get to rest. Awesome. This is amazing. So when I go see Rachel again, she's really happy to see me. She wants to cuddle. She wants to watch TV. She's not completely drained and taken of all her energy because, hey, I made you dinner, but like you got the rest of the kids, right? Because what you have to remember about the children is they are variables. So it could be a really good night or it could be a really bad night with the kids. And if you're not there to bear that load and you're just like, oh, I'll make dinner all week. Like you need a break. Let me make dinner for you all week. Dinner's kind of consistently the same. You cook it, you clean it, yada, yada, yada. We get it. Good job. The variable of kids is maybe your kid's sick that night. Maybe they don't want to go to bed as easy. Maybe they're really giving you a hard fucking time to put on the diaper and the onesie. Maybe they're not. Maybe it's super easy. Maybe you put on the diaper and the onesie and now you're thinking, hey, are you doing the dishes while I do this? And maybe Rachel's like, yeah, I'll do the dishes while you get her dressed and give her a bath. Some nights you're thinking like, damn, the dishes are kind of the worst part of that. Like, that sucks. I'd rather be taking care of the baby. It's so easy tonight than doing the dishes. So awesome. That's a come up. But by you being a parent first, you put yourself in the position to like take that load off and allow yourself to always be the guy that is relieving stress from your partner just by happenstance because you're showing up as a father so often. I get quite a bit of notifications and DMs and things about, how do I be the best provider for my kids? Or, what's the most important role for me as a dad? And I'm like, it's no different than your role as a mom. And I don't say that in a way that you don't learn specific things from a mom and dad. And frankly, I only had a mom. So I'm not going to tell you all the things my dad taught me because he only taught me how to never come back. LOL. But in other relationships I've seen, I know that like my best friend, he has an amazing father. I think of often when I think of a father figure. My mom's current husband, Philip, who I don't call him my stepdad. I call him like my best friend because I met him so late in life. But he has taught me things that I may have needed him specifically to teach me as opposed to the relationship I have with my mom. But both of them showing up for me, it's like his role is no different. I mean, it is now that essentially when I call them, I expect the same result, right? So if I call them and I say, hey, I'm in a real tight spot, I made a real big mistake, like them showing up for me is what's most important. The lessons that come after it are, that's to be decided. But when your child needs, and at an infant stage, they need everything. They need their diaper changed, their poo-poo washed, their hands to be clean, their food to be fed to them. When they need, your most important role is to show up. When your child needs, your most important role is to be there 100% of the time, showing up completely, right? It is not the mom's role or the other partner's role. It's not the father's role if it's a mainly father household, right? Whatever. To be the only person that's, cooking, or I'm sorry, teaching them to eat, wiping their poop, changing a diaper. I mean, I see the studies that are saying like, oh, these millennial fathers changed 3 times more diapers than dad did 25 years ago. Like, I would like to personally, like, you can take my statistics with fellow moms. Like, I'm ready to be in the race. Like, I'm ready to jump over to the mom category and see how I perform. I'm not worried about whether I'm performing better than dad's 25 years ago. Like, if you're stuck in that mold, that shit should make you uncomfortable. Like, when people are comparing you to fathers 25 years ago, or even your fellow father next to you, like, immediately get uncomfortable. Assume that they are not in the same class as you, right? I'm not going to compare Spirit's fucking best seat to a first class fight on JetBlue, right? And if I started to, JetBlue would be like, honestly, just take me out of the conversation. Like, I'm meant to be compared to the best of the best, parent wise. It doesn't matter if it's mother, father, alien, grandmother. Like, I'm ready to go ahead toe to toe with anyone. And that's because I know that I'm trying to show up for my child 100% of the time, regardless. Like, there's no lesson that Rachel needs to teach that I can't. There's no hug that Rachel needs to give that I can't. There's no role that Rachel needs to fulfill that I can't outside of breastfeeding. Right. And so I've given myself this attitude. I've assumed this responsibility and I'm not going to let it go. Like, I will not let it go. And this has allowed me to be really successful. And I think it's also driven a good relationship with Rachel. I think it's really put jetpacks behind whatever maybe we could have had, more than just as like intimate relationship, more than just as like girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever. It's really driven a good friendship between me and Rachel. Like, I think it's given us kind of a mode to our relationship where, like, if anything ever happened to us, we know that our child would be safe with the other. Like, it's really given her a sense of security. Like, that's a good fucking dad. Like, that's the best dad in the world, maybe. And I am the best dad in the world, right? I'm going to say that. I'm going to vibrate that. I'm going to manifest that because it's true, right? I think my success with my daughter is like the perfect masterclass to manifestation. I'm the best dad in the world. I refuse to believe anything else. Like, there's no one there's no one doing it the way I'm doing it. I promise you. There's no one that loves her the way that there's no one that loves their child the way I love my child. Right. And I'm manifesting that. She's going to feel that from me. Laguna will feel that same feeling. Like, this is the best dad in the world, Superman. And she won't feel that I'm Superman because I bought her the car she wanted when she was 16. She'll feel that I'm Superman because I did everything I could to serve her in every moment, regardless of what it was, right? My role is not provider, although I am the sole provider in this house. Now remember, you're not hearing this from the stay-at-home dad role. You're not hearing this from the guy that's, his wife's the breadwinner and he's just Monday Mr. Mom. Like, I am the sole provider in this household, but I still will not take an L in anything. I still will not be number two. I still will not hand off the baby. Like, what do I do with this thing? That's never going to be me. And I don't want that to be you either. So understand that if your role is to serve your partner or to serve your household through providing, or maybe something else, I don't know what else, but maybe through providing, retransition that focus and spend your energy in being a parent, right? And then on the other side of the coin, we've already talked about it, but if you think that you're the provider and you want to do more, like you're motivated like me, you're like, I'm going to be a great dad, I'm going to be a great husband, and you want to come home and you want to be a great husband, you want to serve your partner. Remember, the best way to make that partner a benefactor is to be there for your kids, to be a good father. That is what's going to serve your partner in the highest form. And so if there was any confusion, I hope I got to clear it up for you. And this isn't just how I feel. This is what the culture feeling. But this was a short episode a little bit just because it's pretty straight to the point. But I hope that this gets you clear on what to look forward to if you're about to be a father, or gets you clear on how you need to refocus your efforts. And what I want you to avoid doing, I'll add to this episode a little bit, because what I want you to avoid doing is getting into excuse mindset or a victim mindset. Like, okay, well, I'm the main provider and my job causes me to work 24-hour shifts. I was in the military, right? So we had 24-hour shifts sometimes. And maybe you're in the military and you got to be deployed for 6 months. Those 6 months were an L. You were not the main provider. And you're probably, your whole tenure in the military, or maybe you're a truck driver, or maybe you're a security guy that works overnights and you never get to do the bedtime routine. Don't get me wrong. You're not going to be the primary parent. I understand you're not. I get it. You're not the guy. Like you, the way you provide for your family doesn't allow you to be, if you're working 60 hours a week, it doesn't allow you to be the main fucking parent. I get it. Don't get into the victim mindset though. And don't listen to this and just turn it off and be like, he doesn't understand. I do understand. I get it. All right. I wasn't always doing this. I did work a 9 to 5. I worked 50 hours a week. I ran a coffee shop. I get it. I was in the military. I understand. What I want you to understand instead is that you should always be reaching for that status. And by you constantly shooting your shot and always reaching for that status, you will leave a lasting impression. Because nothing is more impressive than the person that can't do it but won't stop trying, right? Nothing is going to shock the world more than when someone just simply won't give up. If you get knocked down 8 times, get up 9. And that's what I want you to reach for. So allow that to inspire you, not to like bring you down. Like, I'm not trying to tell you that there is no situation where I get it, you're working 60 hours a week and your wife is a stay-at-home mom, because maybe you have the degree. Like, Rachel has a master's. I don't have a degree. So like, in the world of like, if you looked at us on paper, she would probably be the more likely to get a job. But my working situation has like really worked out for me, and it's like kind of lined up in ways that we couldn't ignore. But just know that I'm always going to reach for primary parent status, right? And that's I'm always going to reach for 50-50. And I don't measure your parent status like that. That doesn't work. I just mean like, I'm always going to reach for, I shouldn't even say 50-50. I'm going to reach for 100. I'm going to reach to be the guy 100% of the time. And that attitude has allowed me to really maintain a good rapport, regardless of when I'm out of town for 2 days, I'm missed. No one in this house is used to it. This is not common. Even if I was out of town, 4 days out of the week, because that has happened before. I've been out of town for 4 days. Like, Rachel's never spent 24 hours away from Laguna. I have, right? Rachel, when I walk out of the house and I'm gone for, 36 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours, like, she is uncomfortable in the sense that she doesn't have her co-pilot with her. She's comfortable in the sense that she's done it before. But she knows that since I constantly am reaching for that 100%, like, she feels the displacement in the household that I'm not around. She's like, holy shit, there's a lot to do, which I'm not used to because my partner's here doing a lot of it. And I want you to put yourself in position to be that same fucking guy, that same woman, that same person
that same partner, that same parent. All right. If I didn't inspire you, I don't know how to. Good luck, everybody. I love you.